If you're looking at starting or maybe growing your side hustle or full-time hustle this year, chances are you've heard of or you've considered trying different ride-sharing platforms. And you'll see in this video, there's really some startling new stats for this year talking about the rideshare space. I want to leverage my experience coming to you from here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, starting my own side hustle in this gig economy in 2015 with Uber, and is now the best time to revisit and drive for ride-sharing platforms. We have a lot to go over, so I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you watching. Let me know in the live chat or the comment section where you're watching from. But generally, I'm presenting the question to you: is now the best time to drive for Uber or Lyft? Generally, ride sharing here. But firstly, if this is the first time that you and I are meeting, my name is Mike. And again, I'm coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And really, my goal is to make you money. Because again, I started in this gig economy, app-based work, using your phone, your vehicle, etc., in 2015. And I started, my first app that I was activated on was this one. It was Uber. And since 2015, and really, 2017 here on YouTube, it's been my commitment to explore these apps and again, help you make money in this gig economy. If it's a side hustle for you, if it is your full-time hustle, because some marketplaces, you can certainly do this as a full-time hustle. I have done it both part-time and full-time. That's what we do here on the channel. So again, I want to welcome you to the team here. If you haven't subscribed, to join a team of now over 40,000, thank you, team members here on the channel. So what are you going to learn in this video? Again, I have some really surprising numbers, specifically here in 2021, newest facts and figures in the ride-sharing space. We're going to go over some brand new driver earnings incentives and bonuses, really, that I have not seen in quite some time here. We're going to go over why you should consider driving, why you should consider, Uber and Lyft here. And then ultimately, as I do here on the channel, I like to bring you both sides of the coin here, why you should not consider driving. And then ultimately, a verdict, or at least giving you all of a kind of a summation here of all of our points so you can make the most educated decision for your marketplace. So firstly, to go over the numbers, I want to do that firstly just to make sense of, okay, where is this space by the numbers? We're going to make sense of some of these numbers, and again, some new numbers, and then we'll really get into the nitty-gritty of the ride-sharing space. So firstly, let me show you this. We'll start with my own numbers here. So this is my Uber driver profile. Now I do a whole range of things here again, but I started with Uber in 2015. And since then, you can see 5.5 years have driven specifically for rideshare 1,526 trips. Now, obviously, that's not a ton, or that is a good amount. It really depends on your space here. But I just wanted to show you this just to give you a little bit of background about what I've done with Uber specifically. Now, here's really an area that I wanted to reach out for you on the team here. And I simply asked you, do you currently drive rideshare? It could be Uber, it could be Lyft. And out of 3,200 respondents, this is what you said. We see 19% when asked, this was asked, 2 days ago, said, yes, I'm currently driving for rideshare. 66% of respondents said no, and I've never driven before. That's a pretty good amount here, pretty good majority. And then in addition, we have another 15% that say, no, I don't drive rideshare, but I used to. So we got like 70+% here, 80+% here that have never driven or don't currently drive rideshare, I should say. So with a proportion here, maybe you're watching this, you can let us know in the live chat or the comments section if you want to answer this. This is over on our community tab here. Do you currently drive for rideshare? I want to show you some opportunities here. So right here, possibly some opportunities. This is exactly why we're talking about this now. So this article states, in April of this year, CEOs from Uber and Lyft said the new demand was outstripping supply. Drivers aren't coming back as fast, even though people want rides. Individual interviewed here said sometimes people have to wait 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, up to 2 hours for a ride. So, folks, we're talking about this now specifically because, again, my job is to keep my ear to the ground with this gig economy and other revenue generating streams here. And I am seeing possibly an opportunity right now in mid 2021 because of the marketplace. So right here, we're seeing, okay, point number one, there's an opportunity because possibly passengers are needing rides and they're waiting exceptionally long for them, 30, 40 minutes, etc. Now, what about drivers coming back to the actual market? So we saw what? A small proportion of our surveyed team members said that they're not currently driving for rideshare, but they used to. I mean, to be frank, that was me too. I mean, when I started in 2015, really 2016, 2017, I mean, rideshare was my game. And then I slowly experimented with food delivery. And then my portfolio of gig work really shifted over to pretty much exclusively parcel and food delivery. So with the return of drivers here, we're seeing May of this year, we see a new record for drivers returning to the road since shutdowns, the pandemic, people that used to drive that are slowly starting to come back. But we see here active driver hours increased 4.4% from the previous week. Now, I wanted to include this because that's not that much. Okay, active driver hours increased 4.4%, which is quite literally, it says here, it's a new record for drivers returning to the road. So this is telling us that, yeah, I mean, some people are coming back here, but again, an area of opportunity that, I mean, realistically, not that many people, drivers, are coming back just yet. So knowing that, let's consider the scope of the business. Specifically on this training today, we're really talking about Uber. I mean, of course, you include Lyft in this conversation here. But if we're looking at Uber here, look at the landscape of Uber. It says, this is from the Washington Post, Uber is also a changed business, just on the macro level. Wednesday's earnings report showed, for example, that Uber Eats made up almost 2/3 of the company's gross bookings, or the total it takes from customers. That was a complete reversal from the first quarter of 2019, when rides made up 80% of the business. So literally, what we've seen with the company, with Uber, there's been a complete reversal of their business portfolio. Makes sense, right? With, pandemic, with shutdowns, there was a really aversion to taking ride-sharing platforms out of safety. So we can see 80%, or 2/3 rather, of the company's gross bookings now come from Uber Eats and not rideshare. So again, there may be some opportunities here. Okay, so there's a little bit of the numbers here. I want to go over the money, and then we're going to go over some positives, some negatives here, because frankly, I mean, you and I, when you're trying to make a smart decision in your gig arsenal of these apps that you want to use, I mean, money is clearly one of, if not the most important thing here. So having said that, let's get into some numbers here. Now, firstly, I'd like to show you this because we need to see what the pulse is of the industry coming from these actual companies here. So turning our attention to Lyft, we have the co-founder president of Lyft, John Zimmer, stating here, Zimmer said that in many markets, lean in for this, pay attention to this, because we're talking about your money right now. Average hourly driver earnings have been up meaningfully compared to pre-pandemic levels, and in some markets have reached all-time highs. This is directly from Lyft. So the average hourly driver earnings have in some markets reached all-time highs. And he continued, he said that drivers in Lyft's top 25 markets were earning more than $30 per hour on average in April. This is recent data here, folks, which he said is up more than 85% compared to pre-pandemic levels. So again, the reason we're talking about this right now, because in that we saw previously with the numbers, there's a demand. We saw demand outstripping supply. We saw that the number of drivers returning to this platform really isn't that much. And then thirdly, now that we get into the money here, we're seeing that when it comes to the money, possibly there's all-time record earnings here. But let's continue, because that's not all. Here's something controversial. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So again, we're citing Lyft co-founder and president John Zimmer, and Zimmer says also that the company expected people in other forms of app-based driving work to transition to rideshare driving. He said that rideshare work generally brings in higher earnings than food delivery and has better opportunities for social interaction. I think this is pretty controversial when I saw this. I want to hear your thoughts on this. I kind of had a little chuckle at this, if I can be completely honest. I kind of laughed at this for a second because it's assuming a lot. Again, it's assuming, let me know right now in the live chat or the comment section, do you agree with Lyft's co-founder and president that you will transition from, quote, other forms of app-based driving work to rideshare? That's a prediction. I thought, whoa, that's a pretty bold prediction to say that we as drivers are going to transition from like other app work. Finally, oh my gosh, rideshare is available again. I can't wait to hop back into rideshare. It's kind of what it's saying. And then secondly here, Zimmer stated that rideshare work generally brings higher earnings than food delivery. Let me know your thoughts, because here's my thoughts on that. Generally, having driven for years in both of those niches, I will say that yes, I agree with that. I feel like generally you will get paid more with rideshare than food delivery. I saw it for myself, and that trend carried over quarter over quarter, year over year. Now, there's a lot that comes with that. We're going to talk about that shortly here. And then the last point that Zimmer makes is that it has better opportunities for social interaction. And that quote actually continues to say that drivers like you and I have been craving more social interaction, which is why you will transition from DoorDash, from Uber Eats to Lyft and Uber as far as rideshare, because you miss that social interaction. And you want to get back into that niche with talking and interacting with people, AKA your passengers. I thought that was very bold. Let me know your thoughts on that down below in the live chat or the comment section. And then lastly, then we'll get some more figures here on this. Lyft's Zimmer said during the May earnings call that in some markets, again, this is related to your money here, average hourly driver earnings have reached, again, all-time highs. We're up 85% compared to pre-pandemic. And now look at what Uber CEO says as well. So now we're not just getting it from Lyft, we're getting this from Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi said that on May 5th, drivers in some US cities were making up to $40 per hour. So let's show you this. So something brand new. I mean, we saw what? $30 an hour from Lyft. Claims of, what is this? This is, in some marketplaces, we're making not only 40, but more than $40 an hour. So I wanted to show you this. This is from Uber, a brand new stimulus for you as a driver. This is brand new, and we can see here it is a $250 million, they're calling it a stimulus, incentive pay, bonus pay for you as a driver. And I'm going to show you here, look at those median earnings in several cities. I'll show you another graphic on that, but we see Atlanta, 34 an hour, Austin, 35 an hour, New Jersey, 34 an hour. So what this means is Uber has this stimulus of $250 million that are going to drivers to get you back out on the road. Insofar as bonuses, it could be higher surge pay, it could be higher quests, it can be higher boost pay. It's bonus pay, okay? And again, look at those numbers. LA, I know a lot of drivers really in the home base of rideshare, if you will, in Los Angeles, are now averaging median 35 an hour. So let me know your thoughts on that. And again, this is really breaking. This is the $250 million stimulus announced from Uber. So again, this is why I want to show you the numbers here, because I think that's pretty massive to get those numbers here. Here's a little better look at some of that data right now. And folks, this is the median earnings in a ton of major cities. Let us know. Let us know in the live chat in the comment section, where do you drive? Where would you be driving in? And what do you make on food delivery versus rideshare? Because folks, what is our goal for you this year driving food delivery? Food delivery, what is our goal for you? This year, it is $25 per hour in gross revenue. That is a goal that I set on this channel for you as a benchmark. Look at these numbers. Most every, I'm looking through this here, most every single number here is a higher, pretty much significantly higher than $25 an hour. So again, it's beating food delivery, which this is why we're talking about this right now. I mean, this is the actual data. But speaking of data, there is something in this data that I want you to pay attention to. Because this same thing here from this $250 million stimulus here also included this. I know it's a little small, I'll just kind of read it out here for you. So this data, I mean, I'll just kind of go to the second sentence here. It says earnings include trip fares, some promotional offers, and tips, which are provided at the discretion of the rider, right? Referring to tips. Earnings in your specific location may be higher or lower than national figures. So what's important about that is these earnings, let's just go back to these earnings right here. And if you look in the very top, it says median earnings in several cities, including tips, asterisks, asterisks. This is what it's referring to as far as the fine print. So the fine print says, yeah, it includes trip fares, rideshare, right? We're giving rides to passengers, point A, point B. Some promotional offers and tips. That's what I wanted you to pay attention to. That those numbers stated by Uber, it does include promotional offers. So what does that mean? In order to hit these higher numbers right here, you need bonus pay, which is fine, because this $250 million is bonus pay. So just keep that in mind. That can you hit these numbers a year from now? I don't know. Most likely not, but there could be some opportunities right now in the next couple of quarters. Again, this is why you're here. This is why you should be diversifying your income. I've never been a big, if I can just be real with you, real quick here, I've never been a big fan of, okay, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket. I mean, most anything that we can think of, that's not a good strategy to put all of my eggs in one basket, right? So the same thing goes with your side hustle or the gig economy. And frankly, again, let's just be real here. In 2015, in 2016, there were groups of drivers who invested tens of thousands of dollars in a brand new nice vehicle, putting all their eggs in presumably one basket. Of course, they could be using that vehicle for other apps, etc. But there's been stories of those drivers getting burned in those years. So my goal for you in this channel is to diversify. It's just to think about this. And we got to move on here, but that's why I at least want you to consider, okay, here's the numbers, here's the trends, here's the opportunities. Is it a good fit for me? And again, I'm going to go over why you should drive and why you shouldn't drive here as well. So firstly, why you should drive. And then we're just going to do kind of a apples to apples comparison here if you should drive or not, in my opinion. So you should drive for rideshare. And again, we're assuming that Lyft still has strong bonuses as well. They do. I've seen stories that right now Lyft is offering exceptional bonuses. We're just focusing on Uber here as really the forefront of rideshare. But you might want to consider rideshare right now because there's a higher per trip bonus compared to delivery. Let me say that again. From what I've seen, there's higher per trip bonuses compared to delivery. So if I complete a delivery, okay, on DoorDash, and DoorDash will say, I'll offer you an extra $2 if you complete this delivery. We'll pay an extra $2, or an extra $3, or an extra $4. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me show you something. This is what I saw here in Pittsburgh comparing food delivery bonuses with rideshare. This is the rideshare screen. Look at these per trip bonuses. And we can look on that screen that I am guaranteed a $6.25 bonus on my next trip. Here's food delivery, and there's rideshare. Let me go back to the food delivery so I can really nail this point home here. Look at this. The per delivery bonus on Uber Eats is $1.50 maximum. So now let's continue the screen. I go online. Now I am just going online for rideshare, and look at the bonuses now. $6.25, $9.25, $14, $11, $6.25. And let's pause it right there, actually. Let's back it up a little bit. Look how busy my marketplace is. The red obviously indicating more ride requests versus look how busy food delivery is. It's yellow, it's a little orange, but it's really not that busy. If I go back to rideshare, look at this. So even if I get pulled away, I'm still in a hot zone. I'm still in a busy area. I'm still getting extra bonus pay. That is pretty incredible. Hey guys, if you're getting value in this video today, can you definitely drop me a like for bringing this info, giving you a comparison here. I'd really appreciate it. It does help us here on the channel. And again, subscribe if you are new here. And if you're already subscribed, I appreciate you being a team member here. So again, I mean, that's pretty massive. Let me know your thoughts on that. Delivery bonuses, one more time. Delivery bonuses, ride share bonuses. But there's a caveat with that. I know what you're thinking. There is something very, very, very important that you have to pay attention to this screen. And we're going to go over that here in a second. And if you're not seeing the heat map, Care Bear says, I don't see the heat map. Does that mean my area is not busy? So if you're driving here, and again, if you're just seeing this screen and it looks more like this, but there's nothing, there's no bonuses, then yes, it's typically slow. There's too many drivers. There's not enough requests, or you're in not the best area in your marketplace. Again, this is a team here. You got to do that research as well, just to study some of the trends there. I appreciate you sharing there. Okay, back to our points here. So yeah, we just saw it. It's pretty high per trip bonuses. Number two, rideshare has the highest median hourly earnings. We've seen that stated before. The company stated it themselves, or the article, can't remember, but it was stated prior. I agree with that yeah, a lot of the times you will get paid more in your hourly pay with rideshare. Nextly, its comparative workload to delivery platforms. And I'm being a little nice here when I say comparative. Generally, it's easier than other niches. It's easier than parcel delivery by far. You don't got to go to a warehouse. You don't got to load your vehicle with packages. You don't got to deliver to the front steps. You don't got to deliver up an apartment complex. I can't find it. Oh, it's on the other wing, right? You just pick up a passenger and you drop off. From that perspective, it's basically easier. But is it? I know. It's both sides of the coin here. I'm going to get into that here shortly. We're certainly not giving you a biased view. I want to give you both sides of the coin here. Nextly, underserved markets right now. There's less competition right now. There's more selection right now. So again, yeah, we saw the statistics. These markets are underserved. They desperately need drivers. In fact, if you want to run a test on this, go into your Uber Rider app. If you don't have it, you can just download it, right? Your Uber passenger app and try to request a ride. Are there drivers available? Do you have to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes? That will let you know if your marketplace is underserved with drivers. Again, because of that, there's less competition. There's not as many I mean, if you drove in 2015, 16, 17, there's drivers on every block basically because the pay was super good. The market's ebb and flowing. It's coming back around for possibly some earnings opportunities here. Because of that, you have more selection. So you can decline more rides if it's too far away, if the passenger rating isn't that great, because that does come into play with rideshare platforms. If you want a higher bonus, you see screens like this, man, I want the $14 bonus. You can decline and try to get some of those bonuses because you have that freedom. And then an opinion here at the bottom, the customer behavior, in my opinion, has also changed since early years of rideshare. What do I mean by that? Well, when I drove for rideshare here in Pittsburgh, I did it in San Diego. That those early years, these companies were founded in 2012. When I was driving in 2015, 2016, you kind of had to make it a full-blown A to Z customer service course, carry that conversation, be engaging. And I feel like customers and drivers were really trying to find their footing of, okay, this whole social interaction thing, I'm getting in a car with a stranger, I got to make it more comfortable and carry on this conversation, which a lot of people don't like, if we're honest here, on both ends, the driver or the passenger. But now, in my opinion, I feel like, for better or worse, this is more transactional. Have a greeting, pleasantries, and then you're not really expected to carry on that conversation, right? It's okay to drive in silence, have some music going, and you don't got to carry the conversation like you did in 2015. That's my opinion there. So that's why you should drive, but of course, why might you not want to drive? Which is okay. Again, these are just things to consider here. The most obvious is, in my opinion, it is the highest risk gig industry. It is the most unpredictable. I have done this, again, 1,500 rides. I think I've done 800 or some rides on Lyft. I mean, it's been that long. I've been driven on these platforms for some years now. Again, ebbs and flows of opportunities and earnings, right? So I'll tell you, I mean, you have the passengers, especially if you're driving at night. You have the bar crowd, drunk passengers, and I had a ton of them because I was driving after a 9 to 5, and I would drive on weekends as well. And I would typically drive about 9 until 4 a.m., just straight the bar crowd. Now, I knew my marketplace, and I would specifically stage near colleges. So 90% of my rides were college kids going to the bars, back to the universities, between the universities, friends' houses, etc. So I tried to filter my passengers down to make it as predictable as possible, because ambiguity, safety was always my number one concern as a rideshare driver. Number two, road hazards. I mean, driving food delivery, let's say, the routes are mapped out for you. Okay, I know that I'm going 5 miles. It's going to take this amount of minutes. I know that route. Yeah, it's from Oakland to Squirrel Hill. I know it's safe. It's from Mission Valley to Pacific Beach. I know that route. It's cool. With rideshare, there's a lot, again, risk ambiguity is I do not know where I'm going until that passenger gets in my vehicle, until I click on pickup. Now, What you're looking at on the right is there are new features that will show you that, will show you the route, will show you the duration, which you can see there on the right. This is part of Uber Pro. You accumulate enough points, you can see the route duration. This ride's gonna take 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 8 minutes. So then you have a little bit more information. Okay, that's gonna go far away, right? But there's absolutely a hazard of not knowing where you're going, driving in neighborhoods and et cetera, you've never been before, just literally on the road, right? Blind turns, driving at night. I'm not sure what's ahead of me versus driving for, let's say, DoorDash, where they keep you in a defined segment of your marketplace. So because of that, point number two, there's a very kind of the unknown dollars to mile ratio. So remember, I mentioned to you, and we saw some of the data that said this, is, okay, yeah, I can make more per hour, but how is my dollars to mile ratio? How much am I getting paid for the miles driven? Because with rideshare, yeah, I can get that $6 bonus, that $14 bonus. But the way that these bonuses work now with Uber is I'll get a $6 bonus for regardless of how long that ride is. So yeah, I mean, can we pull up the screen again here? Right here. Let's pull up the screen again. So I'll get this bonus for sure. Yeah, I'll get the $6.25 or I'll get the $14. You better hope that ride's short though, because you're going to get $6.25 if it's a 5-minute ride or it's a 35-minute ride. That is different from rideshare of the past. Again, you get that flat bonus on top of the ride. That is it. Now we saw that, yeah, I mean, you can finish in a busy zone, but just keep that in mind. That's something important to consider. Point number three here, volatile positioning. Again, because of that, okay, well, if I'm driving, from A to B, where am I gonna finish at? And this was absolutely a problem that I had when I drove for Uber and Lyft. I don't know where I'm going until I pick up the passenger. That's number one. But then imagine you finish that ride and there's 100% rides. You will get rides that are 20, 30, 40 minutes away. And then you finish the ride and you say, okay, well, now I'm 40 minutes outside of my usual zone, or I'm 40 minutes away from home. And yes, there's destination filters that you can use to try to get a ride back into your zone. But are you pulled away to a rural area of the marketplace that the chances of getting a ride, let alone a ride that had you back into your zone, that's a whole new challenge. So volatile positioning. And then lastly, accelerated vehicle depreciation. So with all these miles, and again, this is my opinion, let me know down below in the live chat or the comment section if you agree with this. But I mean, this is rideshare. I'm just driving my car. So unlike food delivery, it's okay, I can stay in my zone for DoorDash. I'm gonna stay in Mission Valley or whatever it is. I'm good on miles. And I can even decline, right? It's not really the case with rideshare, especially with open marketplaces, medium to large size marketplaces. You could be doing 100 to 200 miles a day of driving versus here in food delivery. I mean, I'm hitting 25, 50 miles a day. Just depends on how long your shift is, of course. So absolutely something to consider here. So landing the plane on this video today. And again, if you are getting value, definitely drop a like. If you do want to join our inner circle, if you appreciate the content here on the channel, definitely click the join button down below for exclusive content, custom badges and emotes, ways to stand out in live chat in the comment section, and more. Definitely click that join button down below. Would love to have you as a VIP. And if you can't see that, you are on mobile, most likely. So jump over to a laptop or a computer. Would love to have you as a VIP. So now the verdict. This is tricky. So now the verdict. Let's talk about, is now the best time to drive for rideshare? In my opinion, because again, it depends on what kind of vehicle you have, the efficiency of your vehicle, your marketplace, how big is it? Is it underserved, truly? And we just had a driver report, okay, what if I don't see bonuses? Or like we just saw, there could be huge bonuses. So again, this is the team here. You got to do your research as well. But answering the question, is now the best time to drive for Uber? I would say tentatively yes, when we compare it to years prior. Because the reason that I really tapered off and eventually stopped driving for rideshare is because I can make more money or have less stress and or have a better dollars to mile ratio on food delivery. But if you're seeing exceptional bonuses, you give it a try, you have an efficient vehicle, or one that's fully paid off, especially one that's fully depreciated, it may be a good fit. Conversely, if you're not comfortable driving nights, let's say, and you certainly don't have to drive nights, but there is always going to be an inherent risk with having passengers in your vehicle. If you have concerns over the current landscape with the coronavirus, with everything and having someone in that close proximity, if you have concerns about that, if you have concerns about just the routing, the positioning that we talked about, it being so volatile, if you're not comfortable on the road, driving in a marketplace, I don't really know where I'm going, I'm not super comfortable driving in this area, I don't know where I'm going, right? Then it may not be a good fit for you. But I'll tell you this, that if you are new to the channel, or if you are a team member here already, I am going to give it a go. I'm going to try it again. We're going to see how the couple shifts here go to reports and compare and contrast earnings with food delivery apps. We'll see how it goes. So I appreciate you being on the training today. Again, and definitely drop a like if you got value in this video. And of course, you can click or tap screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.